Hi, I'm Nick and I host the podcast Progressive Podcast Australia. I also am one of the hosts of the animal rights show Freedom of Species on 3CR Community Radio. And during this time of the pandemic, I've been doing a lot of interviews online. Before then, I generally recorded in person. It's obviously much easier. I wasn't that happy with the quality of the interviews I was doing. A number of different reasons for that. First of all, I felt that the sound recording through Skype, which I was using, was quite robotic, which may well be this one because I'm recording this through Zoom. Much more on top of the audio than the video stuff. So I wasn't that happy with the audio quality at my end, and also obviously if you have internet connection drops out, then you obviously don't get the best quality recording. So yeah, I've learned some things about doing a better recording. I thought I'd pass them on, and I certainly wanted to mention I'm not the one to discover this or anything like this. Plenty of people are doing this, and I had a quick look online on YouTube before doing this to see if other people have been saying these things, and they definitely are. And in fact, I actually sort of discovered this technique from doing an interview with another podcast, Bitchy Shit Show, and I thought they were actually recording in the same place because the sound quality was that good. And then I sort of was like, is this what you're doing? Like, yeah, that's what we're doing. So yeah, certainly something I've learned over time from other podcasts, etc. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of videos out there online explaining this. But what I think I can add to it is my partner, Katie, often calls me an over-explainer. So I can sort of break down a bit more. Basically, they just said, sync up the audio and left it at that. But I want to kind of explain that a bit more in case anyone is unclear on how to do that. So when you are recording interviews with people over, Skype or more likely Zoom or whatever kind of online program. Obviously, the easiest way to do it is just to hit record on whatever program you're using and just use the audio from that program. And that can be, good enough. It can be okay if you've got good internet at both ends, etc. It can be, particularly again if someone's lagging, but generally it's just not as good quality audio using the audio directly that you're getting from your computer. So what I do now is I actually I still use those recorders like the Skype recorder or via Zoom, but I actually just record the audio directly at each end. So I record my audio via Audacity, which is what I usually use. So I have the recording going on Audacity while I'm also recording via Skype or Zoom. And what that means is that my audio sounds a bit better, but also it means that it's just that there's going to be no lags at the other end as well, which I'll get to in a moment. So in terms of recording, doing this with your recording, an important thing is to get a recording from your program that records at both ends. So I'll just quickly share my screen for a moment. And I will just get this website up. So what I use to record is something called MP3 Skype recorder. So there it is there. So MP3 Skype recorder. And then basically with that recorder, I get two separate tracks. So my audio and the audio of whoever I'm speaking to. So that's quite a good program to use if you're recording via Skype. And then if you're recording via Zoom, I actually learned this because I usually record via Skype rather than Zoom, but a video from Creative Brand Sessions. I'll put a link to this in the description, but you can actually go within your settings within Zoom, within your audio settings, recording, and then you can click on record a separate audio file for each participant. So that's really important if you're doing things this way. So again, I'm still recording via whatever program I'm using, but I'm also opening up Audacity, which is what I record with. Whatever you record with, Audacity, GarageBand, whatever it may be, then I'm recording directly from my computer rather than relying on that program to get the audio, even though I still record that as a backup and also to help me sync up the audio as well. So that really helped in terms of having my audio from from my from my microphone, much higher quality that way. And also what makes things even better quality is also if you get your guests to do the same thing. So obviously if they're a podcaster, a radio host, a content creator, they'll have their own program, and then you can just simply get them to record their own audio and then send you the audio. So again, you're still recording via that program, but you're getting their audio directly. So they're recording their end, you're recording your end. So it's just as good quality as if you're recording in person. And then they can send you the file with whatever program. I find WeTransfer.com quite handy. There's a bunch of websites that do that, Google Drive, etc. So they just send you the file as a WAV or MP3 after they've recorded, and then you put them together afterwards for best quality. And that way, if their internet's not so good and they're dropping out in their quality, it doesn't matter. As long as you can roughly hear them at your end, then they're still going to get a perfect recording that they're going to send to you, even if the recording's not great through the program. I also quite like it because I find having the video on really helps with doing the interviews as well. And obviously if the sound quality is dropping off, you might take away the video, but here you can take the video on because it's okay if the sound quality isn't good when you're doing that. So one thing I've done is for, obviously, if they are a fellow podcaster, they'll have all those kind of programs. If they don't, there's a number of different things you can do. One thing is just to get them to record via their phone. Most people have some sort of audio recorder on their phone. Also, another thing I've done is record via Skype and have my guests set up their own Zoom and just record their audio that way. So the audio isn't like as high quality because it is through Zoom, but at least it means if they drop out at all, you're still getting a direct recording from their end rather than getting their audio back through your computer. So you get their audio one way or another. If they do send you an MP4 with a file, there's a bunch of programs that you can use to convert the MP4 into a WAV or an MP3 to get the audio at your end as well. But I did want to mention as well, I wanted to go in a bit more detail about this just to spell things out for anyone who's unclear in terms of what this means. So I've got my Audacity file here. And so basically this is an interview I did a while ago. And I've got the three files there. So basically I've got the one at the bottom there. This is the audio I've got through my Zoom recorder. And the top one is my audio. And then the second line is the audio that my guest has sent me. So basically what you have to do when you first get that, when you first have these three different files at this point, you're going to try and put them together, is I use that Zoom recording, again, not as a file I'm going to use, but just to help me sync up the files together. Basically you want to get to wherever you started the discussion. Here we had quite a long discussion before we actually started recording. And so then you got to get them into the same place. So I think it was around 12:14 that I started speaking. So you're just going to basically have a quick listen.
I'd like something I'd like to in the future.
And I think it was around here.
Welcome to.
And so that's where I start the podcast. So I'm going to delete that. So obviously you don't want to mess around with the audio anytime after that point. But then basically you're going to just, try and sync up. So I start there, and that's where I start in that recording. And then you're basically just going to try and gradually get them in the right order so they're in exactly the same time. So like zooming in kind of helps, and it usually takes just a minute or two to get them in exactly the right order. And then also the same with this file as well, with their file as well, getting it synced up with the recorder you've got and making sure that is at the same time as well. So rather than watching me do this, I've got another file, I've already done this. And so I'm just going to play this, and you can see there I've got the different files. And basically this is one I've already synced up in advance. So I'm just going to play 20 seconds or so of this so you can hear that I've sunk it up exactly so that it all sounds the same. So
welcome to Progressive Podcast Australia. I'm Nick Pendergrass, and we're going to be covering the US election on the show with our usual US correspondent, politics professor Jason Brownlee, who is in Austin, Texas. Welcome back to the show, Jason.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Good to see you. Good to be back.
Yeah, and
So we can see there that even though we've got the different recording, it sounds exactly the same because they're totally synced up. So basically, yeah, once you've done that, then you can get rid of that track. Also, briefly, I wanted to also just show the difference in the sound quality. So here is the sound recording I got through the Zoom.
Welcome to Progressive Podcast Australia.
So as you can see, it's somewhat distorted, not necessarily the best quality. Whereas here is my sound quality just directly from my computer that I was recording, again, via Audacity while we were speaking.
Welcome to Progressive Podcast Australia. I'm Nick Pendergrass.
Yeah, much, much nicer sound. So yeah, once you've sunk that up, then again, you don't need this Zoom file once you've done that. And then you've just got the one file and you know the timing is right, etc. And then to edit that file further down, all you do is just convert that to a stereo track, and then you can just delete as you like. Maybe not that much, but yeah, you can just delete that as one file, and then the audio is still going to be wherever you delete it. It's still going to be stay synced up, and then you can just go from there with editing your podcast, and then before you export it, convert it back to mono. And then you're all set to go in that way. So yeah, again, much better. Yeah, much better sound quality. That really helps out. So yeah, I just wanted to pass it on in case that was useful for anyone. If there's anything I'm missing, then feel free to leave a comment in the comments or whatever. I'll put my email as well. You can send any emails or comments or anything I'm missing. But I just wanted to give that advice in terms of syncing up that audio and doing the best quality interviews when you're recording from different locations.